There are many facets to Le Mans. There's history for the tourists and lovers of the past. There's modernity, as with all expanding cities. And then there are annual events like this at Place des Jacobins over 2 days, the Tuesday and Wednesday in mid-June. The stars this year are the Lancias, the only cars it's said are capable of defeating the Porsches. Indeed, Henri Pescarolo, a winner last year in a Porsche, is playing the Lancia card this year. And then there are the others, either here for real or in faithful replica form. The anatomy of the former group is carefully looked at. This visit shows the diversity of the field. There were 75 entrance demands for 55 places, 28 different types of cars and 14 different engines. And all these cars are split into 4 categories: C1 prototype, C2 prototype, IMSA GTP and also Group B. Le Mans is proud of its past and confident about its future. More than a spectacle, the cars being in the centre of town on the eve of the event is an act of faith. Among others, Sunbeams, Bentleys, Talbots, Lagondas, Alfa Romeos, and that's just citing the oldest cars. They're still relatively young, and yet they're veterans. Claude Ballot-Leyne starting for the 20th time and Henri Pescarolo for the 19th time. 28 C1s at the start, including 13 Porsches. Porsche have been victorious 9 times in 15 years. There are subjects which surprise for the Japanese of Mazda speed. A subject of conversation: how will the works Porsches fare against the privateers given the new fuel restrictions, 390 litres down on last year? And a subject of satisfaction: before signalling the start, the Minister Alain Calmat gave Jean Rondeau the mission to research coming up with a car capable of winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Away they go for the warm-up lap. On the front row, the works Porsches numbers 1 and 2, driven by Ickx and Mas and Bell and Stuck. Lancia of Volek is on the second row. 3 cars that in qualifying managed for the first time to exceed 250 kilometers an hour on average for a lap. Today, they'll have to be lighter on the pedal. That's imperative given the fuel restrictions. Over the 24 hours, the C2s have 1,430 litres and it's 2,210 litres for the others. With that much, many will be able to do 30,000 kilometres on the road, but on the track it will equate to about 6 times less. Away they go, and up front are the Lancia number 4 and the Porsche number 2. That is to say, Volek and Nannini and Bell and Stuck. The end of the first lap and the 2 has fallen back. Leading is the 4, the Lancia, then the 7 and the 10, 2 Porsche 956s entered by privateer Germans who were loyal to the 24 Hours, Joest and Kramer. And up there in the leading group, another Porsche 956 that's performing very well is the British Richard Lloyd team, with Palmer and Weaver as drivers. It's the number 14. It has to be said that cutting the fuel allocation by 15% has caused serious headaches for the engineers. They've tried to tone things down, played around with the setup and looked at the gearbox, all of this with computer assistance. As a result, some drivers feel they can't express themselves the way they'd like to. And that's what the winner from last year, Henri Pescarolo, said to us. In the other Lancia, Volek and Nannini are now only in 4th. In front of them are 3 Porsche 956s. The 18, that of the German team Walter Brandt, and above all, the Joest Newman and the Lloyd Cannon. That is to say, Ludwig, Barilla and Winter in the 7, and Palmer and Weaver in the 14. What a battle there. Or is it really a battle? Well, that is far from sure, especially when you see them wheel to wheel. In fact, they've forged an alliance. An alliance against the works Porsches and any other contenders. We learned afterwards that the pact was sealed before the race. One would lead, then the other would follow, and then they'd switch around. That way, 1 lap in 2 would be in the slipstream of the other car and much fuel would be saved. The tactics are perfectly legal, it's just they were the only ones to think of it. And yet the 2 leaders are going quickly. Up front, the average is more than 216 kilometers an hour after 4 hours of racing. Only 209 for the 66, the Aston Martin of Nidell and O'Rourke, that's 10th, 2 laps back. The Lancia of Pescarolo and Baldi is 9th, and that of Volek and Nannini is 4th, a lap back. Oh, what are the works Porsches? Ickx and Mas are the furthest back in the 4th hour, 17th, 5 laps back. Holbert and Chupin in the 3 are a lap down, while Bell and Stuck in the 2 are 2 laps back from the leaders. Porsche number 26, the Obermeier Racing Team. It's a German-Spanish-Belgian team, and they're 2 laps down from the 7 and the 14 that are still literally sticking to each other. After an hour of racing, the Jaguars have had to slow down as they're using too much fuel. As for the Cougar Porsche, well, it's ignoring the superstition. The Porsche Kramers are discreet, and they're without a doubt worried about running out of fuel at the end of the race. The new favourites are quiet too at this stage. Richard Lloyd, the work they'd done on the suspension, the braking and the aerodynamics of the bottom part of the chassis seems to be bearing fruit. On the other hand, there's Joest, where it was revealed after the race the drivers had total responsibility for their fuel consumption, thanks to a system that allowed Klaus Ludwig, Paolo Barilla and John Winter to tweak from behind the wheel the turbo pressure and the mix. And that solution really took some thinking of. Much further back, the 8 of Paul Belmondo, De Naves and Miller is going well, and it took them going off the track at 10 in the morning for them to be eliminated. At Porsche, for now, they're letting the storm pass. They're convinced that the speed at the front cannot last, or that the price will be paid at the fuel pump around about hour 23. turn for the MK Aston Martin that was here in 1983. The machine has been entirely looked at again, and a lot of alterations have been made. The weather's good, and that displeases nobody, especially not John Fitzpatrick, the former driver who became a team manager. His Porsche 956 with Gardner, Hobbs and Edwards at the wheel manages to score a surprising 4th place come the finish. As for the Jaguar number 44 of Tullius Robinson and Balo Lena, they had 22 hours 30 of relatively peaceful driving, followed by a 90-minute nightmare. A very good race from the Porsche Brand Motorsport, who are up there for a long time hunting second place. If the 7 and 14 control the race, they've not managed to pull away. This was to be a paradoxical race. Even with 15% less fuel, we know the distance record will be beaten, and the lap record too by Jackie Ickx at 239 kilometers an hour. Well, what can we take out of this? Maybe that the driving style was cooler, but no less quick.
Il faut croire qu'on a réappris à piloter plus fin, plus cool, mais pas nécessairement moins vite.
It's by here that in qualifying that Ludwig in the Porsche 956 number 7 was clocked at 372 kilometers an hour. The works Porsches are sticking to the battle plan, start slowly and finish quickly. Unfortunately for them, Jackie Ickx and Jochen Mass are let down 5 times. The oil, gearbox, electrics, the lower section and the axle. Nine in the evening, and the race is neutralized for the time it takes to clear Hunaudière. A tyre blows at full speed on Jean-Claude Androuet's car. The WM Peugeot is in a sorry state, but the driver is safe. The best of the works Porsches is the 2, that of Derek Bell and Hans Stuck, and it will be immobilized for a little while with axle trouble. It's here that most of the 7 laps back from the rest are lost. When night falls, the situation is unchanged up front. The yellow and black and the red and white, that's to say the Porsche Newman and the Porsche Cayenne are leading. And behind is the stretched out peloton where the Cougar Porsche number 13, hit by another car on Hunaudière, cannot find its cruising speed. It does make it through to the end. It's not for nothing that the driver is called Courage, Yves Courage. He's teamed up with de Cadenet and Yvon. For the spectators, the village and the party there is the key to enjoyment. It's here that they can let themselves go. The major event of the night is the Porsche Cayenne of Palmer, Weaver and Lloyd falling back. A tiny problem to do with the fuel injection, but the time it took to locate the issue and repair it took 3 laps, exactly the deficit the 14 had come the finish. What are the Lanciers? They'd based their strategy on that of the works Porsches, but they don't seem to be performing as well as expected, something Pescarolo confirmed to us later. We didn't have many problems, a starter to change and 2 doors to repair, and that didn't take long. But the Porsches were simply quicker and perhaps consumed less fuel. We were beaten in that area, I think. The one requiring a miracle in order to win means it's the works Porsches 2 and 3 trying to get back on terms with the leaders. It's difficult but not impossible for Bell and Stuck on one hand and Hulbert, Schuppen and Watson on the other.
Au lever du jour, un peu
As day breaks, it feels a little chilly this year, and this is what it looks like. The 7 is alone out in front with a 3-lap lead from the 3. Behind them, the 18, 14 and 2. There are only Porsches in the 9 leading positions, and the 1 is flying now, but it's well back, more than 20 laps. The 1 posts a new lap record. There are 35 cars left, including the 93, the BMW of Descartes, Euclin and Hubert. The Lanciers are 10th and 11th, 12 laps back. The Cougar's going better, but 3 hours stopped is a lot. The Tiger Ford of Davy won't be classified as it didn't cover enough distance, but that as Spice finishes 14th. It's a massive day for the drivers in Formule Gamin, the kids class, with the final of the 24 minutes of Le Mans. It's a serious business for them, as maybe it's the first step towards one day competing on the track next door. It's very serious for the marshals too, as they want to ensure the security regulations are observed and that the contest is sporting. Maybe we'll see them all again at the 24 hours in 15 years' time. What a pity that the Porsche 956 of Walter Brandt didn't finish. Driven in turn by the Argentine Oscar Larrari and the Italians Massimo Segala and Gabriele Tarquini, it was up there with the best for a long time, and it deserved better. The 14 was also unfortunate, otherwise we might have had a sprint finish like in 1969. But now it's clear the win has been decided, and the 7 will win. It's been running like clockwork and problem-free, and that's rare in endurance. Hats off to Klaus Ludwig. He drove for exactly 13 hours and 39 minutes. The Jaguars aren't at the party. The 40 disappeared during the night, suffering mechanical problems, and so the car of Tullius and Ballolena is the one left. A ruptured valve immobilizes it at 1:30 in the afternoon. They managed to get it going again to do one slow lap, starting at 2:50 in the afternoon, in order to be classed 13th. As for the Lanciers, they'll take 6th and 7th. Bolek and Nannini 14 laps back, Pescarolo and Baldi 16 laps back. Henri Pescarolo's both disappointed and optimistic at the same time. There's been a lot of progress because we didn't have major mechanical problems. We haven't got there yet, but the gearbox held together and the engines were fine, and that augurs well. He didn't want to go off, this was just an error of trajectory. Let's start to hand out the prizes and the distinctions. Well done to the 33. Gardner, Hobbs and Edwards are 4th. But the gold medal goes to the 7. The number 70 Tiger Ford is 14th and 1st in C2. The 11 Jarrier, Thackwell and Conrad is 9th, some 18 laps back. And the 14 finishes 2nd, 3 laps down. As for the Works Porsches, the 3 abandoned, but Bell and Stuck managed 3rd place, 7 laps down, and 10th place with Ickx and Mass, 26 laps back. WM Peugeot managed 17th with Pignard, Rollet and Jean Rondeau. There were 49 cars at the start, only 49 because of the damage done in qualifying. 29 make the finish, of which 24 are classified. The 24th covered 3,590 kilometres in 24 hours, compared to 5,088 for the Porsche number 7. The average speed for the winners, 212 kilometres an hour. They had 120 litres of fuel left. The quickest car was also the most sober.
Many congratulations to Jonathan Palmer, James Weaver. James Weaver here for the first time finishes second. Fantastic. Sur le podium maintenant, ceux qui ont remporté cette 53e édition des 24 heures du Mans.
The winners, Klaus Ludwig, 35 in his fifth 24 hours, and he's won 3 times, and that's incredible. Paulo Barilla is only 24, while John Winter, who is 35, has his best result in 4 attempts here. With 10 wins at Le Mans, Porsche have beaten the Ferrari record of 9. Porsche, once again, Porsche über alles, one might say.
Porsche encore, Porsche toujours, Porsche über alles.